Hey everybody, this is Buckwsr. We're putting the do into do-it-yourself, and our do-it-yourself project today is an interesting one I've been looking forward to for a while. So let me take you over to that and show you what it's all about. See this guy right here? Look at this. Yeah. This is an interesting item here. A Craftsman. Sears Craftsman Shredder vac. So it seems to be a combination of a lawn and leaf vacuum. And there's the vacuum nozzle that attaches to the front. And the hardware is here for that, as well as a chipper shredder where you dump your leaves or jam your branches down this chute. And then of course they get shot up, sucked up, propelled into this collection bag here that hangs on the back. Now this looks like a really interesting unit to me. It's got what appears to be a 9 horsepower Tecumseh engine. And I was looking down here at this tag. Not sure if you can see that. DOM, date of manufacturer 5020R. Now I don't know how to interpret that. Is that 5, the month of 02, May of 02? I'm not really sure how to interpret that. I might have to look that up. If so, that would make this thing about 18 years old. So my goal, this was delivered to me in non-running condition. Obviously it's been used. Interesting, I noticed this tire here, plastic wheel, very much more worn than this one on this side. But it looks fairly clean. Tires are a little flat, but don't appear to be completely flat. That's why I put it up on these blocks for the time being. The engine looks relatively clean. It's not covered with oil. When this came to me, there was water accumulated in here. And my guess is, for at least a time, and it's kind of rusty in there down the bottom. My guess is it sat outside at least for a time. Rainwater falls into here and made its way down into the chopper area. Shredder. Other observations, I took a look at this oil and it is registering at the very bottom tip, but it's not full enough, so we'll have to at least top that off. Down here you can see a gas filter. Probably can't see it actually, it's because of the light, but there's a gas filter down there. It looks kind of nasty. And I did observe that there is some fuel in the tank. So I'm certainly going to want to drain that, put on a new filter, probably also top off the oil. Probably I'll want to take down the bowl on this carburetor, really easy to access. And make sure it's not gunked up. So I don't know the condition of the carburetor. But everything seems to be intact mostly. It's not locked up. Engine spins. So I'm just going to go through some of the basic procedures that I would do to see if we can get this going together. I observed that you really can't use this unless the bag's in place, because otherwise the stuff's going to shoot out right at you. So the bag is essential, and it's got a convenient zipper here so that you can empty it. The drive mechanism appears to be, in my opinion, very much like a snowblower, with 6 forward speeds and 2 reverse speeds. Except you're not blowing snow, you're sucking leaves. But I would love to get this thing going and see how well it does as a yard vacuum sucking up leaves. Because if there's one chore I've never enjoyed, it's raking leaves. Alright, so let's walk through some of these steps and see if we can get her going again. I decided to go ahead and remove the gas tank from the machine, which gave me the chance to clean it a little bit and also to rinse it out, which I'm glad I did, because inside the tank were these rubber pieces that had been part of the gas cap. Probably could use a new replacement gas cap then for this, but it's good to get that junk out of the tank. And also I went ahead and we're putting on some new fuel lines, at least from the tank to the filter. And also going to, so we got the new filter there. I'm going to put in, because I can, a little fuel shutoff. I find with machines like this that sit so often, it's a good idea to be able to turn the fuel off and then just let the carburetor run dry so as not to leave old gas sitting in the carburetor. We'll see what we get when we open up that carburetor bowl. So just secure the gas tank here. It was some 7/16 nuts and bolts here that hold it in place. And yeah, it gets a little tight there. Not a lot of space to work, but we're managing. Okay, so hold it down in the back with the wrench and tighten it down. Okay, so then all I got to do really is connect the fuel line here to the small piece that drops out of the tank. Okay, so currently that's in the off position. So we can add some clean fuel. The valve is still off, so it won't run over to the carburetor just yet. That'll give us a chance to drop the bowl and take a look inside. Let's add just a little bit of oil while we're here. The oil on the dipstick actually does not look that dirty, but we'll top it off. Maybe if we get it running, we'll go ahead and do a complete oil change. For now, I just want to make sure it's got enough in there for good running. Let's go ahead and take a look at this carburetor. Let's take the air cleaner off first. Just a wing nut. Hang on to him. Quite a bit of crud in there falling out. So yeah, this guy looks pretty worn, rusty. Oil's a little bit oil soaked, I think. Of course, you're supposed to oil these pre-filters. Alright, so let's move him out of the way for now. we're going to drop the bowl here on the carburetor, and I wanted to try to catch the half-inch wrench will do it. Try to catch what comes out into this dish so that we can, don't tell my wife, so that we can take a look, see if any crud or particles come out. I think what I want to do is clean the, I'm going to clean the surface dust and dirt because I don't care about that right now. And then I will be able to take a look at what exactly comes out of the bowl. And you know, hopefully it won't be too bad. Let that drain briefly. You see some crud in the bottom there, but I don't know if that's from inside the carburetor, or if just that was some of the debris that was still sticking to the bottom of the bowl, to the nut. Oh boy. Not sure if you can tell, but that looks kind of corroded. And do have some crud in the bottom of that bowl. So not surprising, because the way that the fuel breaks down as it sits, who knows how long this has sat. Probably would be a good idea for us to completely take the carburetor down and clean it. But I think what I will do, because I have all this access here, I'm gonna shoot some carb spray through the main jet up there through the bottom. Certainly I'll clean out the bowl and that plug, and this guy should be moving a little more freely. So I think I'm going to try to clean what I can without removing the carburetor, and if it doesn't run well, we can always take it down completely and fire it up. I mean, and clean it up before, if we need to. Okay. This is the plug from the bottom of the carburetor, and this is a significant item because it has holes through the middle and also through the bottom sides. So you can see that. And they're completely plugged right now and covered with like rust and debris. So I absolutely need to clean that off. Because the fuel has to flow through this plug. Now I got a variety of instruments that help me do that. I use a safety pin sometimes. Get things moving. Push it through. This should go straight through here. It's not doing. There we go. See, that needs to, fuel flows through that hole where I've pushed the pin through. And I've got some brushes here. Some carburetor cleaner. But it is I gotta spend a little time with this to clean that up. Get some different sized wires here. But fuel comes in through those holes at the bottom and then is sucked up through the middle. So fuel flow through this plug is really important. So let me keep working on that. I'll clean out this bowl also, and we'll put it back up, add some fuel, and see if it'll run. I decided to go ahead and take down a carburetor and to clean it out more thoroughly so as to give us the greatest chance of success here. Tough to get a 7/16 wrench on these because they're so tight up against the carburetor, but a Phillips head screwdriver, stubby one since I don't have a lot of room, has worked here to get these off. All right. All right, I gotta get a pair of pliers to disconnect the fuel line, I think. Maybe not, I don't see a clamp. All right. Oops. Don't want to lose that guy. All right, so he comes off. Take it over to the bench and see if I can clean it out better. He's just going to allow me to get some of the carb spray into some of the harder to reach places. Well, I've got the carburetor back on and I've added fuel to the tank and opened up the shut-off valve, so we should have fuel there. For the time being, I'm going to leave the air cleaner off. I really want to get a new air filter anyway. But I suspect I have this feeling that I'm missing something. Here's our throttle, but there's no linkage. I feel like we're missing some kind of connection, lever or spring between here and perhaps our governor over here. I'm not entirely sure, but based on previous engines that I've worked on, something's missing there, I think. So we may have to find that, look up the parts diagram or something. In the meantime, I think we'll give it a try, see if it'll at least fire up for us to some degree. Now, before I do that, we've got to put the front cover on, and I say that because it's got a safety switch here. Machine's not going to fire up unless your deflector's in place. So I'm going to do that. Figure I'll shoot a little lubricant onto these threads here, and then we'll try our luck and see if it's going to start for us. All right, I'm ready to fire it up. I got to tell you though, I already noticed even before pulling a start cord that my carburetor's leaking. So apparently the needle and seat aren't sealing real well. I was concerned about that because I noticed the float was not moving as freely as it should, even when I was cleaning it. But either way, let's give it a try and see what we get. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to cheat a little here and give it a little starting fluid. Might not need it since the carb is leaking, but see what we get. I'd like to verify that we're at least getting spark. It may be hard to see on that because it's a bright day out here, but let's see if we can verify if we're getting spark at all. Yeah, I see it in there. I can see it sparking through the tester. I don't know if you can, but okay, so that part's good. Yeah, so we're definitely missing the linkage for the throttle to the governor arm, which I think is going to make the difference for us. I mean, we're clearly firing up, but it's not staying there. Last try for today. Well, there you have it, folks. It's definitely running, so it's getting gas up through the carburetor. That's good. See if the carburetor continues to leak. I may end up having to replace it. That's okay, but we're clearly missing that linkage between the governor and throttle. So that's good. That's progress. I'm going to look up some of the parts, see what it costs to maybe replace that carburetor. They're generally pretty inexpensive aftermarket. And we verified that it works. Now we just gotta do what's necessary to complete the job. All right, I'll talk to you again soon. Well, we've picked up a few parts, new air filter, pre-filter, but most importantly, I picked up this missing governor link, which is part number 33878, and this was one of our biggest missing items. So I want to bring it over here and install it, and this link goes between the governor arm and the throttle on top of the carburetor. So running back there like that, I've often found that these linkages go on easier when you take down the carburetor completely and can move it around a little bit. So I'm going to do that. Just think that's going to make our life a little bit easier. Okay, I think I got it here. So put it in there, and then I can sort of bring it under the intake here. There we go. Now I got it in there. All right, so now I can put the bolt down the carburetor again. That's much better. That's going to be what we needed. hey, it's running actually, and that feels pretty good. Actually, I may have to adjust that throttle. At full throttle, it almost sounded like it was racing too fast. So I might have some adjustment there that I can play with. But that certainly doing better with that linkage. It idled very nicely also, so that feels pretty good, and that makes me confident that we cleaned that carburetor pretty well. Hey, but did you notice it didn't move? I put it in gear, squeezed the bar to get it to go, and it didn't go anywhere. So we're gonna have to open it up down below and see what's going on with the drive mechanism. It just, these feel like they're moving okay, but not sure what the story is. So we're going to take a look at that next, because this thing is nice, but if it doesn't move, kind of defeats the purpose for a lawn vacuum, doesn't it? Well, I got the unit up off the ground a little bit, and so I'm starting to take down this plate that runs across the bottom, and you can see that it's well rusted out. As I take off these first two screws, I also see we've got some critter infiltration in there. So I don't know, there's the chain, which looks very well rusted. We'll be able to clean this out. The bottom of this is just rusted out so much. I got to clean this out, take this plate down, see if we can salvage it. It's falling apart from rust. Clean it out in there and see if we can get things moving again. Sounds dirty. Yeah, it's a bit of a mess, isn't it? Decided to put some gloves on. Look at all this. Yeah, so clearly this guy sat unused for a long time. Wow. Okay, so we got a belt in there, and the belt has come off the wheel. So that's part of the problem. It's just kind of hard to see. May have to try to lay this thing down or get a better angle on it, because I need more room to work. All right. So there you go. See, the plate's rusted and filled with holes, and all of this debris was caught up under there. That's gross. All right, but I think we still have the opportunity to get it going. I'm not despairing yet. We've got a little more work to do. Okay, so we're back, and I just wanted to show you a few things about the drive mechanism on this machine. It's not unlike many snowblowers of this era, and what's so interesting about it is that it has two drive shafts. Of course, there's the main one down here, the big one under there that drives the impeller, you know, for the vacuum and the shredder, and that comes off the crankshaft, the main crankshaft of the engine. And then there's a second drive shaft which spins in the opposite direction and comes off of the camshaft. And this is the pulley here that is responsible for the transmission and the forward and reverse movement of the machine. A lot of snowblowers are like this too. So there's a belt that comes from here and down to this main wheel, and that spins. There's also a tensioner pulley that I took off here. It's really not possible because of the angles of the camera on the ground and all to show you what I'm doing to get the drive mechanism going again. But I will show you a few things here on the workbench, some parts that I need to replace. The first is this friction disc, the rubber part of the friction disc. This one's quite worn. And here's the new one, and it fits on here. This wheel is separated by the 3/8 bolts from either side. And then this friction disc spins by being forced against that big wheel down here. And your speeds are determined by where on that wheel this friction disc will make contact. So this slides on this axle here. And so then when it spins, it turns the gear, which turns the chain, which turns the wheels. That's essentially how the transmission works. So definitely need to get a new friction disc. Got a new gas cap since the rubber was chewed up on there. A new belt for the transmission. Now this is a 3/8 by 29-inch belt. Now if you look up the part number and want to buy a name brand belt, it'll cost you about 30 or 35 bucks. But if you know that it's a 3/8 by 29, you can get it much cheaper. I think I got it for $8. Also, I'm going to replace these rusted out extension springs. These are responsible for pulling the main transmission pulley back out of the way when you release the bar and cable, because this pulley actually pivots, and those springs hold it back so that the machine stops moving when you release the handle. I will try to give you some shots from underneath, but there's not a whole lot I can do. Other thing I'm going to do is replace, this is the rusted out nasty plate from the bottom. This part is not available. So I am getting creative. Made a couple of boards out of some thin plywood. That may sound a little hokey to you, but it's trying to do what I can to restore this machine to a level of functionality. So unfortunately, a lot of this work I'm not able to actually show you too clearly, but at least you have an idea of what we're doing to get this thing moving again. Alright, I wanted to give you a look at the apparatus from below, and this is the drive belt and its tensioner pulley. So that spins constantly while the engine is running, and from below you will see it is connected to this plate right here. So this plate spins constantly, and it's held back by these springs, one here, another here, until such a time as the handle is squeezed, pulling on this cable, which pulls this plate against the friction disc. Friction disc is connected to this axle, these chains, and the drive wheels. And depending on where this friction disc encounters this transmission disc will determine how fast it spins and in which direction it will spin. So it's really pretty ingenious, you know. So when it's just off center, you'll have slower speed, but when it's slid this way and is thereby spinning faster, you'll be going faster. And it's really kind of an ingenious setup. But of course it is important then you have a good clean, strong rubber disc on the friction wheel. And this is the same mechanism used by many, particularly snow blowers. And this is essentially a snow blower that doesn't blow snow, it sucks leaves. Okay, so let's give that a try. And I just wanted to give you a little picture of what we did down here to clean it up and get it ready to operate again. And I've got that wooden cover that I'll put on here also after I verify that it works as it should. All right, so it's back in business. You could see it operating and functioning. We had forward, we had reverse. I'm not convinced it's doing a great job of sucking up the leaves, but maybe I'd have this set up a little high, perhaps, I don't know. And yeah, it's back in business. I feel pretty good about that. I'm going to go ahead and bolt on that bottom cover that I had fabricated, just to keep the dust and dirt out of there. And that's it. I'd like to hear from you if you've got some ideas on this project. What do you think of my methodology? If you like it, great. If not, I'm open to your criticisms and comments and suggestions. That's how we learn. That's how we are a DIY kind of community. So thank you for watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you on the next project. See ya. Bye.